All right, Brian. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and meet with me. My name is Justin Helfman, and I'm conducting this interview as part of my master's program through Lamar University. Um, I'm going to be asking you a few questions about how technology, works in your department, how things that maybe you've seen change. I know you've been at the schools for a few years now, so things that maybe you've added, things that you brought in from that were brought in from the old administration. Just kind of how the technology field is used and maybe what you would like to see used in your department in the future. Okay. So also I want to thank you for your time. I know we're meeting here after hours at your house, so I do appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. I'm sure you can see that I am videoing this, and the camera is going to be solely on me. This is for my interviewing critiquing skills, so this will be on me, so you won't have to worry about being on film. Uh, so with that, we'll get started with the first question, which is, please tell me a little bit about your current position here at Tri-County Schools.
Okay, so my current position is the director of facilities, and so some of the responsibilities for me are overseeing the maintenance end of all of our facilities, also the grounds. I also help out in transportation, and basically I always tell people everything non-educational is kind of falls under my umbrella. So
Okay. And you've been at Tri-County for what, 3 years now?
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you've done quite a few things before coming to Tri-County, which is well, we're happy to have you here. Can you tell me a little about, just a brief synopsis of the things you've done in the past that kind of led you towards your current position?
So, what I did in the past, I was in the construction field. So I spent 22 years in construction and was a project superintendent for commercial projects for a large company out of Grand Rapids. So a lot of the projects that I was a part of were a lot of municipality projects and a lot of constructing of schools. So that's kind of how the two tie together for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I know that was kind of a big deal. I know I was excited when you decided to come to Tri-County. We're trying to do a lot of upgrades. It seems like somebody that's built them new can come in and help us upgrade and expand and where we're at. So
that's
great.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you've used technology to enhance your department? And like I said, you can talk about things that were in place before you got here, or things that you've tweaked or we've gotten rid of, or new programs, new software, new things that you've done.
Right. So the biggest thing that, like when I first started here, technology in my department was non-existent, if you will. So, I mean, just the use of regular Android phones was a big thing when I had started in my department. So from there, we implemented our work order system, which you're familiar with, which is a web-based program that allows our staff to get online and basically send a work order over electronically. So that was a big deal for us. I mean, for what that did for me right away was able to organize the issues in the building, the immediate issues. It also enabled me to categorize them and prioritize them. And then on top of that, it made sure that things were getting done and gave us a good tracking tool to make sure that things got done and done correctly. And then how we advanced on that with the work order system that some people don't know, in the buildings, what it also did for us is it allowed us to track, it gave us a history of repeat issues, if you will. So then from there, we're able to run a spreadsheet or tally it and say, okay, now we can say, okay, this is a repeat issue. We need to do something. There's a deeper issue there, so now we need to go in there further and see, why is this keep occurring? Is it just user issue, or is it a mechanical issue, or whatever? So, I mean, that was the first biggest step for us to improving our facilities, and technology obviously made it easy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just a way to be able to, see the patterns and see where you're at, and so hey, like you said,
Yep. So we're continually having a heating problem in this issue. So it's more than just, it's more than just they're not turning the thermostat up, or if you will,
Sure.
There's something wrong with that unit, so we need to go in there during the down times and figure out what's causing this problem. So, yep. So that was the big part of the first of the work order system. And then the other thing that we implemented that was actually being implemented when I came on board was the ability to control all of our heating systems in 6 schools from our computer. So before that, everything was remotely controlled, or not, basically controlled at the site. So locally controlled is really the term. So it was really up to each building custodian to turn the boilers on. It was up to each teacher to adjust the temperature. Now we have the ability to do it all from one laptop. So that's nice for us because we can literally check the entire district in 15 minutes in the morning. During the heating season, we can get in and look at our entire district. Instead of having people go out, we can sit there at the laptop and identify issues well before anybody enters the building, and then we can attack it there. So, that's huge for us. That saves us a lot of time, and again, that creates a history too of tracking things. Okay, why we can form trends and see what's going on, and if there's something mechanically we got to repair, or if it's just adjusting how long the buildings are on, or anything like that. So again, technology wouldn't be possible without technology there.
Yeah, no, not be able to do that for sure.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit now? When, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, the change to School Dude, which is our online maintenance schedule, was that something that you brought into the district? Was that something that that's been I know from a teacher side of things, that's been a huge relief for a lot of teachers, because now you can see things getting tracked.
Yep.
You know that when you put it in there, it's going to get done, as opposed to just talking, hey, Billy, I got this problem, and then you don't know if it's going to, what Billy does with that or where it goes. At least now there's a system and a follow through. Like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that something did you go out and research that and find that? Was that something you saw somebody else do? Was that?
Yeah, so the actual program of School Dude wasn't anything I was familiar with before coming here. We used a lot of technology in my previous field for similar things, obviously to track things, and it was a tool that we used before to track work, like I said, to make sure work was getting done. It also creates a documentation trail, and whether that be for us, reminders for us, or just just a documentation trail on both ends. Like, okay, is it getting inputted properly? But really more for us to make sure that we can prioritize. So School Dude was something that was presented to me by, work order system was presented to me by the facilities director at East Kentwood, who I knew very well. So he kind of led me to the work order system, which again we didn't have. And then School Dude was something that I come across at our facility conferences. So then after reviewing it there, figuring out that this is kind of the system. Other districts do form their own work order systems, which I think are good too. For us, just the ability to have this already built, and then we can just pay a service fee and then crack into their web base was a lot easier for us. We didn't have the time to build it or the resources. So
to go through and do
it.
Sure.
So, and there's other features that we use. We use Facilities Direct now too, which is another tool that has been big for our community this year.
Okay.
So that is a building use. Like before, they used to do the building use form by paper. Now you have to get on the School Dude. You can look at the schedule, and then from there you can select a time that you want to use the building, fill it out, then it'll go through a streamlined approval process, which again you can do all from your computer. So each building secretary is the first one, or principal. We usually elect the secretary to look and say, okay, we can allow this to happen. And then I have the final approval, and then from there I can apply cost, and if it's going to cost the person that's using the building or whatever. And again, then it just streamlines the whole thing, and that's something I can review in another 15 minutes for each week. So
sure. Now, is that Facilities Direct? Because that's something I'm not familiar with. Is that being implemented now? Is that?
It's actually, we just put it into place this year, so it took us a while over the summer to implement it. We didn't want to do it. As you know, schools are hard to adjust midstream. So it's always better to implement it over summer. So we had to program some things in there to get our buildings in there. And then, so now it's been underway this entire school year.
Okay.
So instead of the old paper form where you went to the office, you now have to get online. So it is something you as a teacher you can use. You can get on there if you go to your maintenance directory. There's a tab that says facilities direct or facilities use, and you punch on that tab, and you can again request the use of a building, whether it be for practice or we have people use it for graduate or parties or whatever, so
Sure.
whatever it may be. Yep.
Sure.
The biggest thing though that we always ran into before was double booking. So our community could never really knew, when the buildings were being used for practice. So the nice thing of that, working with the athletic director, of him putting his stuff in there, now that as a community member you can get on our website, click on that tab, and you can see a calendar of everything that's in that building. So it seems to be a lot easier for them. So if they're planning ahead to use a building, whether it be for Little League, they can pick a date instead of going to the office, trying to decide what date's available. They can simply get online, look at the schedule, and there you go.
And that kind of takes the place of, for lack of better words, the master calendar on the wall
Yep.
where you're going to put all stuff in.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm sure. Let me ask you this: Have you been monitoring the system at all recently? Are you seeing less scheduling conflicts as a result of that, or?
Yep, I am seeing a lot less scheduling conflicts, and a lot less phone calls have came in to me from the community like, I want to use this or I want to use this, and the calendar answers the question for them. I think it gives the community an idea of how much the buildings get used. So technology-wise, it also opens it up to the community to say, okay, our buildings are being used a lot. And you can go as far as the political side as we're trying to go for a bond. There's a good snapshot of how much these buildings are being used and why. So I haven't had many phone calls about, hey, how come I can never use it because it's right there. There's being a practice there. There's OM. There's in all our buildings. So some of the scheduling conflicts that we had in the past are where when people try to maybe they try to go without using it. So it's been a good tool to resolve that too, because we've kind of implemented this is the master calendar. So if you are scheduled to be in there, then you're allowed. And then if someone else comes in and says that they've got it, everybody has that calendar to go to and say, no, it's been approved for me. So it's resolved a lot of conflicts there too.
Answering a lot. Anytime you can answer those questions ahead of time, it's better than been dealing with it at the end.
Yep.
Great. And I know you've kind of hit on some of this, but what are some areas I can see? Obviously, you make a plan. You do a very good job of when you came in. You talk about the facilities director. We knew this was a problem, so we go through and fix it. We come in and you talked about the maintenance slips. This was an issue, so we get the school dude. So I know you're already in the process. Is there anything else that you could say? Looking at it, what are the ways that technology can help your department?
Right.
Whether it's a software piece that we need that's maybe not developed even yet.
Yep.
But it would be great if we could do this.
Yep. So the big thing that we're trying, there's two more things technology-wise that we're trying to implement in our department. One of them is the documentation of our facility drawings. So right now we've just got stacks of blueprints. So there's a couple of different options for us. We've scanned a few on disk. And then you can also scan things to a web-based system. So that's something we're trying to implement to get everything building document-wise, whether it be shop drawings for the new projects coming up or the actual blueprints. The more of that we can get on a database and into our server, again, the more efficient we're going to be because we do have laptops. So some of you see maintenance guys will have laptops. They're in the building, they can simply open that laptop and pull up a blueprint of any building they're in, whether it be mechanical, so it helps there. The other thing it does is it just archives everything, and you never lose it. So if there be a fire or drawings getting, over time drawings get destroyed, you always have a documentation of that. So it's something we're slowly implementing. And then the big thing that we got to try to do this summer, and that's the school dude thing, is preventative maintenance schedule. So that's the last thing from school do that we're doing. Right now we still do that out of a binder, which is easy for us because we're the only ones that deal with it. Again, I think we need to get that in there. It gives us a schedule because it'll define a schedule when we have to change filters, belts, this sort of pump, and then again it'll track the history of mechanical equipment. So those are the things we need to increase or do a better job of.
Sure. But
it's there.
And that's great. And like you said, now you've got that school dude. You've got the information right in front of you.
Yep.
At your hands that you can go back and rely on and kind of set schedules and go. Yeah.
Yeah. So you really have a whole building or a whole room of documentation at your fingertips once you get it on there.
Sure.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, I know you're busy, and I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to meet with me and do this so I can finish this up. So I won't take any more of your time, but I do want to say thank you.
Yep, no problem.